Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The physiological function of the thyroid hormone are discussed in this video. Thyroid hormone increases the transcription of large number of genes that results in increased cellular activity. The thyroid hormone or thyroxine, it goes inside the cell, and after the elimination or release of one iodine, it is converted, most of it, about 90% of this is converted into triiodothyronine, and this triiodothyronine then binds with the thyroxine binding receptor. This thyroxine binding receptor has got more affinity for T3 as compared to the T4, and whenever it binds with the specific receptor, there is activation of the transcription, and this transcription increase will result in the various cellular outcome. These are increased protein enzymes, increased structural protein, increased transport protein, and increased formation of other substance. All of these activities results in the increased functional activity of the cell. So this can be depicted as genetic light switch room. A person representing T3 walks through a control room and flipping on the rows of light switches labeled enzyme, protein, transporters, and T4 molecule wait outside as blueprint, and the technician deiodinase enzyme converts them into T3 to enter the room. This diagram is illustrating the cellular mechanism of thyroid hormone action and its widespread physiological effects. The T4 and T3, they enter the cell membrane into the cytoplasm, and inside the cell T4 is converted into T3 by the enzyme iodinase, and T3 enters the nucleus, and it binds with the thyroid hormone receptor, which form with a complex with the retinoid X receptor or RXR. This hormone receptor complex bind to thyroid hormone response element that is present on the DNA, and binding of T3 to the receptor initiates gene transcription. This process forms messenger RNA, and this messenger RNA exits the nucleus and used for synthesis of new protein in the cytoplasm. The newly synthesized protein produce wide range of effect throughout the body, including CNS development essential for brain growth and maturation, growth that stimulates overall body growth, in and cardiovascular system. There is increased cardiac output, increased heart rate, increased heart strength, increased tissue blood fluid, and also increases the respiration. Metabolism is also affected as a result of this hormone. There is increased number and size of the mitochondria, increased sodium potassium ATPase pump activity, increased oxygen consumption, increased glucose absorption, increased gluconeogenesis, increased glycogenolysis. Lipolysis is also increased, and increased protein biosynthesis. That all effect also causes the increase in the basic metabolic rate. So there is also broad spectrum systemic impact not only on a specified tissue, almost all body tissues are affected. So just to reinforce this concept, the thyroid hormone receptor that lies in close to the DNA genetic strand, it is bound with the retinoic acid X receptor or RXR, and when thyroid hormone binds with this receptor or heterodimer, there is a activation process of this heterodimer. An activation process will result in messenger RNA activation and messenger RNA formation, and messenger RNA formation within minutes to hours start the translation process, and hence the protein forms. These proteins include enzymes, structural protein transporters, and the protein response varies. Some protein increase slightly, others up to six-fold. So the physiological effect of thyroid hormone mainly arises from the action of these new protein. In addition to these genomic action, there are some non-genomic action of the thyroid hormone. These are faster and secondary mechanisms. So some effect of these non-genomic cellular effects, they occur within minutes uh, to too fast that then for the gene transcription, and these are not blocked by inhibitors of transcription. The site of the action is mainly plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and possibly mitochondria and other organelle. So they are responsible for regulation of ion channel, stimulation of oxidative phosphorylation, energy metabolism, etc. And they involve the secondary messenger system activation, such as cyclic AMP formation, protein kinase signaling cascaded, and they involve the effect that is seen in the heart, pituitary gland, and adipose tissue. So in the heart, the effect on the plasma membrane; in the pituitary gland, effect is in the cytoplasm, while in the adipose tissue, the main effect is in the mitochondria. See, so this dual nature, genomic and non-genomic of the thyroid hormone, explains both slow sustained effect, that is the metabolic rate, and rapid effect, that are the heart rate change. The thyroid hormones act like a metabolic accelerator for nearly every cell in the body. They increase the basic metabolic rate up to 60 to 100%, 60 to 100% above normal, with high hormone levels. So the energy utilization is also increased. So this accelerate breakdown of carbohydrates, fat, and protein for the energy. Then there is increased rate of protein synthesis that has got the anabolic effect, and also increased rate of protein catabolism. So it is forming the proteins also, and also degrading the protein for energy. It is also responsible for enhanced growth in children and adolescents. CNS activity increases and it stimulates mental processes such as alertness, reflexes, and cognition. And endocrine gland functions are also increased in most other endocrine glands. So this can be depicted as a gas pedal. of your entire body's engine. The more hormone you have, the faster the engine runs. But just like running a car too high, it burns more fuel and wears out part faster, like protein, and requires fine control by other hormone and systems. The thyroid hormone also affect the mitochondria. There is increased number of the mitochondria. More mitochondria form in this cell after T4 or T3 exposure. Also, the size and activity of the mitochondria is also increased. Each mitochondria become larger and more metabolically active. The surface area of the mitochondria also increases, that strongly correlates with increased metabolic rate. There is increased ATP production, and it supports enhanced or active cellular function. So it is unclear whether the thyroid hormone cause increased mitochondrial activity, or if increased cellular activity causes more mitochondria. T3 and T4, they have got effect on sodium potassium ATPase pump. There is increased rate of transport of both sodium and potassium ion through the cell membrane of some tissue, that uses the energy, and increased amount of heat is produced in the body. So they also cause leaky cell membranes to sodium, that contributes to this effect. So how thyroid hormone boosts ion transport and heat production? There is increased sodium potassium ATPase activity. So they increase the synthesis and function of the membrane pump enzyme. There is more ion pumped across the cell membrane and more ATP used, and there is also more sodium ion leaked in, stimulating the pump activity further. And ATPA that is used in the pumping, it is responsible for generation of the heat as a metabolic byproduct, and this is a this mechanism is a key contributor to the thermogenic effect of the thyroid hormones. The thyroid hormone is essential for normal growth, especially in childhood. It stimulates the protein synthesis, bone growth, and cellular metabolism. In children, the hypothyroidism or decreased or low thyroid hormone, they severely delay the skeletal growth and responsible for short stature and delayed development, and also for slowed mental development. While the excess thyroid hormone or hyperthyroidism, it results in accelerated skeletal growth that leads to the leads the child to become taller at an earlier age, but bone maturation also speeds up. So the epiphyses are closed earlier, and the result is shorter adult height. In fetal and infant brain development, it also plays some role in the brain growth and maturation in utero and in infancy also. So deficiency in early life causes underdeveloped brain or microcephaly and permanent intellectual disability if untreated, known as cretinism. This requires urgent treatment with thyroid hormone after birth. The thyroid hormone affects on carbohydrate metabolism also. There is increased glucose uptake by the cell. There is enhanced glycolysis, that is breakdown of glucose for energy. The enhanced gluconeogenesis or glucose production from non-carbohydrates also occur. Increased rate of absorption from the GI, and insulin secretion is also stimulated. All effects result from an overall boost in metabolic enzyme. Then there is the stimulation of the fat metabolism. There is increased mobilization of the lipids from fat tissue, and so there is burning effect on the fat stores. The free fatty acid level in the plasma is also increased, and increased fatty acid oxidation in the cell is processed to generation of the more fuel or more energy from this fuel. Then there are effects on plasma lipid and the liver fat. The cholesterol, triglyceride, and phospholipids all are increased in blood. So if the thyroid hormone is increased, there is decrease in cholesterol, phospholipid, and triglyceride. But if the thyroid hormone is decreased, there is increase in cholesterol, phospholipid, and triglyceride in the body. So free fatty acids are increased, and these free fatty acid increase will also result in LDL receptors expression increased on the hepatocytes, and the cholesterol secreted in the bile and promotes its elimination. LDL is also eliminated, and if there is hypothyroidism, the atherosclerosis develops, and also fatty liver is developed. There is also increased need for the vitamin because there is enzyme production increased, so there is increased demand of the vitamin cofactors. Without extra vitamin intake, the relative deficiency may occur in hyperthyroid states. Thyroid hormone, both the T3 and T4, stimulate nearly all cells in the body to increase oxygen consumption, nutrient utilization, and production of the heat. So excess thyroid hormone, they will result in increase in the BMR up to 60 to 100% of the normal. So the body functions speed up, there is faster heartbeat, increased and rapid weight loss, and the patient or the person feels hot. And if the deficient thyroid hormone is there, the BMR or basal metabolic rate drops to about 50% of the normal. Everything slows down. There is fatigue, weight gain, and cold sensitivity. This graph illustrates this effect of the BMR. So it is showing the relationship between the thyroid hormone secretion in milligram per day, and basic metabolic rate in percent change on y-axis. So this represents that percent change in basal metabolic rate ranging from 45 minus 45 or minus 45 to 30% on y-axis, and the curve is sigmoidal curve, the or S-shaped curve that is formed. It is sigmoidal curve. At 0 milligram per day, the BMR drops to minus 45. indicating severe hypothyroidism. Around 100 milligram per day, the BMR is at 0% change. This is 100% normal, and BMR is at 0% change. That is the normal baseline level. Beyond 100 milligram per day, as thyroid hormone secretion increases, there is progressive increase in the BMR, indicating hyperthyroid state. So the hypothyroid region, the left side, this hypothyroid region is low or absent thyroid hormone that sharply reduces the BMR, leads to fatigue, cold intolerance, and weight gain, while this normal is indicating the balanced hormone secretion and maintain the normal metabolism, and the hyperthyroid state, that is this right area, this is excess thyroid hormone secretion that increases the BMR and results in heat tolerance, heat intolerance, weight loss, and increased heart rate. This table is summarizing the effect that we have seen in the graph on the secretion of about 0 milligram per day. The basal metabolic is at minus 45, and this is hypothyroid region of the graph. At the 0% or the normal activity of the thyroid gland, that is about 100 milligram per day, the condition is normal, and this is the baseline level. And more than 100 milligram per day, if it is secreted, there is increased BMR, progressive increase in the BMR according to the concentration of the thyroid that is secreted, that is associated with hyperthyroidism. The body weight is inversely proportional with the thyroid hormone. When the thyroid hormone is increased, there is decrease in the body weight, and when there is decrease in the thyroid hormone, there is increased or weight gain due to decreased BMR. And thyroid hormone also increases appetite, which can counterbalance weight loss in hyperthyroid state. There is also effect on the cardiovascular system. There the increased blood flow and cardiac output. So the increased tissue metabolism will result in increased utilization of the oxygen that increases the metabolic end product. As a result, there is vasodilation and increased blood flow to the area, so the cardiac output is increased, and there is increased need for the heat elimination also, that was that favors this vasodilation. So the cardiac output is increased in the hyperthyroid state. It increases about 60% of the normal, while in the severe hypothyroidism, it may go about half of the normal. Cardiovascular, respiratory, and GI systems all are affected with the thyroid hormone. The thyroid hormone is responsible for increased heart rate. The thyroid hormone directly increases cardiac excitability. Clinically, heart rate is a sensitive indicator of thyroid hormone level. The heart strength is increased if there is slight increase in the thyroid hormone. This is caused by enhanced enzymic activity, similar to the cardiac effect of fever or exercise. In severe excess of the thyroid hormone, there is increase of chronic protein catabolism that lead to weakening of the myocardium and may result in cardiac failure and thyrotoxicosis. The blood pressure is mean arterial blood pressure is usually normal, but the pulse rate is increased. It is widened There is increased systolic pressure by 10 to 15 mm Hg, and decrease in the diastolic pressure. Respiratory effect of the thyroid hormone are that there, as we know, that there is increased metabolism, so increased oxygen demand, and the carbon dioxide production is also increased. So the rate and depth of the respiration both are increased. There is increased appetite and increased food intake in the increased thyroid hormone, and also the motility and digestive secretions are increased within the gastric system. So the hyperthyroidism may result in diarrhea, and hypothyroidism may result in constipation. So this thyroid hormone has got some role on CNS and muscle also. In the CNS, they result in increased cerebration, means increased mental activity, and there is faster thought process with possible disorganization. Hyperthyroidism is associated with nervousness and anxiety and paranoia, that are psychoneurotic tendencies. And the hypothyroidism is associated with sluggishness of thought and mental dullness. The mild increased thyroid hormone will result in increased vigor and strength of the muscle, while the excess thyroid hormone will result in muscle weakness due to catabolism of the protein. Thyroid hormone deficiency will result in sluggishness of the muscle and slow relaxation. The muscle tremor that are associated with classical hyperthyroidism, it is the classical sign of hyperthyroidism. These are the fine tremors about 10 to 15 hertz, and these are not coarse like in Parkinsonism. They are caused by hyperactivity at the spinal synapses and easily observed by placing paper on extending fingers. The sleep patterns are also disturbed. In hyperthyroidism, there is insomnia and fatigue due to CNS overstimulation, while hypothyroidism is associated with somnolence and excessive sleep, about 12 to 14 hours per day. The thyroid gland affects the rate of secretion of other endocrine glands due to increased need of the tissue for the hormone. There is increased thyroid hormone that causes the increased glucose metabolism, so the increased glucose secretion is required. Increased bone forming and turnover activity is needed, so the parathyroid hormone is secreted more. The adrenal glands, they secrete glucocorticoids, so increase in activation of adrenal glucocorticoid like cortisol by the liver. It triggers feedback in the ACTH from anterior pituitary, and this result in increased cortisol secretion from the adrenal cortex. So the thyroid hormone accelerate metabolism, which lead to increased use of other hormones and increased demand on secretion from other glands to meet that need. Thyroid hormone have also got some effect on the sexual function. In men, the decreased thyroid hormone will result in loss of sexual desire, while the increased thyroid hormone may lead to impotence. In women, this decreased thyroid hormone or hypothyroidism results in menstrual cycle irregularities such as menorrhagia, that is excessive bleeding, polymenorrhea, that is frequent menstrual bleeding, and in some cases amenorrhea or absence of the period, or irregular periods may also occur. There is also loss of sexual desire. Then in hyperthyroidism, there is oligomenorrhea, that is infrequent light menstruation, and occasionally amenorrhea occurs. So the thyroid hormone sexual functions, what is the underlying mechanism? The underlying mechanism is direct metabolic effect on gonads and indirect effect via anterior pituitary hormone. There are feedback loops that impact FSH, LH, and other sex hormones. So this picture is showing the effects of thyroid hormone on a specific body function. There is stimulation of carbohydrate metabolism. There is stimulation of fat metabolism. There is effect on plasma and liver fats. We have seen all these activities in detail earlier. There is also, due to these increased metabolic activity, there is increased requirement for the vitamins. So the BMR is also increased, and increased BMR along with excitatory effect of CNS and function of the CNS and muscle functions are also increased, and the sexual functions are disturbed in the aberrations of the normal secretion. Then not only sexual function, all other endocrine functions are also disturbed, and along with CNS effect there is sleep changes associated with both the hyper and hypothyroidism, and heart rate and BP or blood pressure and heart rate are also changed. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any query, please write in the comment box.